Hi lovelies, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Taylor. Thank you so much for joining me. Today I'll be creating this simple white Valentine's Day acrylic nail tutorial. So I'll be getting right into today's video, and my client's nails have already been prepped, primed, applied my tips and all that good stuff. I also went ahead and applied a thin layer of my Kiara Sky clear acrylic powder, and if you want to see how I prep the natural nails, check this video out. I'd link it in my description box below. I do walk you through step by step on how to prep the natural nails for any nail enhancement, whether it be acrylic, gel, or even polygel nails. And the key to having any nail enhancement last is proper prep. So definitely go ahead and check that video out. And for my acrylic application today, I am using my Alpha number 9 capped blinged out Kolinsky brush, my Kiara Sky EMA monomer, and this all-in-one powder also by Kiara Sky in the color Snow Bunny, which is a really pretty soft white, and you can use my discount code, which is BeGlam, to save yourself an additional 10% off your entire Kiara Sky purchase. Now I am going to be using this to build up the structure of the nails. However, if you want a more of a milky white, I will suggest applying a thin layer of the Snow Bunny and then encapsulating it with your clear acrylic powder. And because of the length of these nails, I am using small to medium sized beads of acrylic. Now if you haven't seen my liquid to powder ratio video just yet and you are struggling with your bead pickup, I will suggest checking this video out. It's filled with all my tips and tricks for that perfect bead pickup. Now I'm taking a medium-sized bead of acrylic and I'm placing it right where the natural nail and the extension meet, patting my acrylic and working it down the nail tip with the belly of my brush, making sure that the acrylic is even on both sides, and also cleaning up the sidewalls of the nail tip as well as removing any excess acrylic off of the extension. Now the tip of this nail needed a little bit more acrylic, so I just took a small bead of acrylic and I placed it right to the free edge of the extension and blended it up towards the previous bead that we laid, making sure to maintain the shape of the nail tip by passing my brush alongside the sidewalls as well as across the free edge. This is going to prevent any extra filing when it comes to reshaping these nails. After doing that, I'm going in with another medium-sized bead of acrylic right behind where the acrylic stopped, and I'm going to work that from side to side and then lightly feather it into the previous set of acrylic that is already on the nail. And I went ahead and placed a small bead right on top of that acrylic. Using the tip of my brush, I'm going to start working that bead up towards the cuticle area, holding the finger downward so that no product runs into my client's cuticles, and I'm going to start working my brush in a C formation around the cuticle just to make sure that everything is nicely sealed in. And this is also going to remove any extra product that would have gotten onto my client's skin. And the last thing I'm going to do is place one more medium-sized bead on top of this entire nail, and this is just going to blend out my acrylic application, make sure everything is nice and smooth. It's also going to help by filling in any imperfections that would have been left from those 3 previous beads. Now on this nail, the application did start at the cuticle area, and that is because I wanted to press a metal gold heart into my acrylic at the tip of the nail so that I can encapsulate it with my clear acrylic. So all I'm doing is making sure that my cuticle application is nice and flush, and then I'm going to lightly blend the rest of the acrylic down the nail, and I'm just going to do this until the entire nail is covered. Now I'm making sure to keep this layer really nice and thin because it does need to be encapsulated once I add that gold heart. So now I'm taking this gold metal heart, and this is by the Veronique shop, and I'm going to place this not too close to the free edge of the extension because I do need to leave space for filing when it comes to reshaping the free edge, as well as you want to make sure that it's really nice and centered. Now when I place it down, before I pat the heart into the acrylic to set it, I did turn my client's hand around so that way I can see what she would see and make sure that that heart is nice and centered. After doing that, I'm going to be taking my Kiara Sky all-in-one clear acrylic powder. Now I'm not going to be encapsulating towards the cuticle because I did build up that area already with my soft white. So I'm just going to be encapsulating from the center of that nail all the way to the free edge of the extension.
We're doing it all, the feeling is so, baby you got me, believe in the magic. We're doing it all, the feeling is so, baby you got me.
And the thumb is going to be the last white nail, and I'm just going to build up the entire structure of this nail with that soft white.
Baby you got me. Slow ride, just you in that baseline. We're way past sunshine, believe in the magic. Alright, step into the moonlight, get into that good time, believe in the magic. And we can save you from your past. This bond is always gonna last. When nothing else makes sense, just stay. What you gonna do? We're doing it all. The feeling is so. Baby, you got me. Believe in the magic. We're doing it all. The feeling is so. Baby, you got me. Believe in the magic. Baby, you got me. Baby, you got me. We're doing it all. The feeling is so. Baby, you got me. We're doing it all. The feeling is so. Baby, you got me. Believe in the magic. We're doing it all. The feeling is so. Baby, you got me. Believe in the magic. We're doing it all. The feeling is so. Baby, you got me. Believe in the magic.
And this nail is going to be a glass floral nail, just like my thumb, but it's going to be a little bit of a different color scheme. So I did take a big flower and cut it in half. So I used one half on the opposite hand, and I'm going to place down a nice thin but wet bead of my clear acrylic. And now I place that flower onto the nail, and with this bag, please excuse the wrinkleness of the bag, it was in my drawer, but I'm going to be pressing that flower into that clear acrylic. This is not going to stick to the clear acrylic, and it's going to make sure that that flower lays nice and flat. Next, I'm taking another wet bead of clear acrylic, and I'm going to be placing the gold heart into this. Now you do want to wait for this bead to get a little bit matte and then start pressing that metal piece into it. And doing this is going to submerge that metal heart into the clear acrylic powder so that when it starts to set, it's not going to move in place. If I were to apply this metal heart while the acrylic was still really wet, it wouldn't set in place properly, and when I go in to encapsulate, there's a possibility that it would be moving, and I don't want that. So while I move on to the rest of the nails, I'm going to leave this heart to set in place. Now I'm randomly placing gold foil and flower petals as well as leaves on the rest of the nail, just wherever I think it's appealing to the eye. And when I find that placement, I'm going to start with a nice wet bead of clear acrylic, and I'm going to go over it and hold it in place as well. You do want to make sure that your acrylic is wet and thin when you're doing this, because you still have to encapsulate this entire nail. And if you work with your clear acrylic too too thick at this point, and then you go in and encapsulate, it's going to make this nail way too thick and bulky. And when it's time to file, because you want this nail to look nice and slim and nice and trim, you are going to start filing into the encapsulated pieces underneath that clear acrylic, and you do not want that. Now, I know achieving a glass nail with acrylic is really hard, but one thing you need to make sure is that when you're working with the nice thin beads, that you do not overwork that clear acrylic. The more you use your brush to manipulate that clear is the more you're going to encourage air bubbles into those pieces. So you notice when I put down a bead of clear, I just lightly tap it into place where I want it, and then I go right on top of it with the piece that I want to place in that spot. I do not continue patting because then I'm going to cause bubbles in my clear acrylic, and then when I encapsulate and I apply my top coat, it's just going to have bubbles everywhere. Now for this nail, I don't want it to be too clustered. As you guys can see on my thumb, it's really nice and spacious. You can see every element that you are putting on the nail, and yet there's still this glass effect. Now you guys are going to see me going in with my scissors and trimming the petals or stems wherever they are poking out of my acrylic, and that is because I like to make sure that everything is laid nice and flat within the acrylic and not risk any air spaces when I go in to encapsulate. I don't like anything poking up through my acrylic because then I have to file it away, and in my mind it's going to create an air pocket. So therefore I make sure that I trim everything that needs to be trimmed before I encapsulate. Now that all my pieces are in place, I do allow this to set for about just a few seconds before I start encapsulating. Now, if it is that you do this nail and then you move on to the rest of nails and come back to it, you do want to take your brush, dip it in monomer, and wet the surface of this nail before encapsulating. Now, another tip in order to eliminate air bubbles from your clear acrylic is to use wet beads. So I start off with a very wet bead of my clear acrylic. This is going to help the acrylic to freely set into any spaces or grooves without being forced into those spaces to create any air bubbles. Again, when you place your bead of clear acrylic, you do not want to over manipulate it. You place it, you stroke it, make sure it is where you want it to be, and then you leave it. If you get any spillage onto the cuticle area, then you go ahead and remove it as soon as possible as that bead is still wet. But other than that, you just want to allow your clear acrylic to flow, and this is going to give you that nice glass finish. So now that my application is complete, this is what the nails look like. I do allow my acrylic to set all the way through, and now I'm taking my Kiara Sky 100 grit rectangular hand file, and I'm going to use this to redefine the sidewalls as well as the free edge of the nail extension. Next, I'll be taking my Kiara Sky Beyond Pro Rechargeable e-file and my 5-in-1 carbide bit, and I'm going to be using this to seal in the cuticle area. I'm going to go across the surface of the entire nail, and you're even going to see me using this bit to taper in the sidewalls of the extension even more. Now I am working with my e-file at about 8,000 RPMs. This is just where I feel comfortable when it comes to finish filing, and I'm not putting any pressure on my bit at all. I am using the bit and I'm allowing it to do its job. The reason for that is I'm not removing any bulk from the nail plate. I'm just removing any imperfections from my acrylic application.
Sing for me, darling, it's been quiet for a day now. Can't bear the silence inside my own head. I keep on hoping somehow we can make this alright. Just keep on trying. Glass after glass, I keep hoping you'll come around. Drowning our fights in whatever can be found. 'Cause I've given in to all my demons lately. You know, might be easier just to let it go. Cut the cable short and the problem solved. Might be easier for you. I do it all night. You're my only lifeline.
And finally, I'm taking my e-file down to about 3000 RPMs, and I'm using my Kiara Sky mandrel bit as well as a fine sanding band, and I'm going to go over the entire surface of the nail. This sanding band is going to remove any scratches from my acrylic application that would have been there from my nail drill. And then I'm going to use the Kiara Sky 80 100 grit pink buffer block on the 100 grit side, and I'm going to smoothen out this nail even more. Now, because these are white nails, you do not want to see any scratches in them, so I'm going to give them a nice buff, and this nail is going to be a clay nail, so you do want that to be nice and smooth as well. After doing this, I'm going to remove any of the excess dust with my Kiara Sky dust brush, and I'm going to spray these nails with my 99% alcohol and cleanse them with this manicure brush bit that came with the Melody Susie 10-piece diamond cuticle bit set. And now I'm taking I Am Clear by Madam Glam, and it's a really gorgeous iridescent clear gel polish, and I'm going to be placing it over all the solid nails. I absolutely love this color over white. I always do it on my toes, and she actually saw my toes and wanted her toes to match, and then she decided that she wanted it to match her nails as well. So that is why I am applying this over the snow bunny, and it just fits so well. I absolutely love how this set turned out. Basically, that was technically it for the set. I went ahead and removed any excess gel polish, cured in the light for a full 60 seconds, and then I'm going to take my Kiara Sky non-wipe gel top coat, and I'm going to apply this to all the nails, again making sure to remove any excess gel on the side walls as well as the free edge, just to maintain the shape of these nails. And I'm going to pop this into the light again for another 60 seconds, and I am using my Kiara Sky Beyond Pro Rechargeable LED light. Now, you can cure this for 30 seconds, but for me, I just like to make sure that my clients' nails are well cured, so I over cure sometimes. That is it for this set. I'm going to have a clip at the end of the video of the final result. I really and truly hope that you guys enjoy this video. I love how it turned out. She actually saw my nails and wanted her nails similar but in white. So if you guys do want to see how I created my own nails, I did record them. So go ahead and leave me this emoji in the comment section below, and I will definitely continue editing that video so I'll be able to post it for you guys. And if you enjoy this video, take a second right now to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to check out my description box below for all my coupon codes and links of the products that I used in this video down there as well. And that is it for me. I hope you're having an amazing day or night, whatever time it is where you're watching from right now. As always, I would love for you guys to stay glamorous, be safe, and I'll see you soon.